Hi, I'm Nick Sajazi. I'm a independent business owner that I started a business while I was in high school doing web design for a variety of clients across the nation. Basically what I do is I build a custom product for each client that meets their marketing and sales needs on the web, and I try and identify those needs as well. Basically creating individualized products for each client that meet where their business should go, or where I think it should go. So that's basically a gist of what I do.
How did you convince yourself that your idea was an opportunity, not just an idea?
Well, basically, it's kind of what you guys are doing right now in terms of talking to other entrepreneurs. Basically, I saw other entrepreneurs in my community. At the time, there were several high schoolers in the Indianapolis area that were already millionaires leaving high school by just doing basically the same thing I was doing, but mixing in apps and some other diversified web and digital media products. So that's essentially what I did. It's not necessarily copying, but it's like I had a model to follow, but the path wasn't all laid out for me. But I knew there was potential for sure in a growing sector of the market.
Did you write a business plan or do a financial projection of any sort?
None at all, actually, because web design is actually a company where there is no overhead. Everything's done digitally. Honestly, the only thing I had to pay for, this was paid for before I even started, was my computer and the software I use to create what I do. So essentially, there's literally no risk in doing things on the web, and that's why it's such an exploding industry right now, is just because people can start without doing anything. Go for it. So yeah, there's no need for financial projections. I didn't have to convince investors in my product because I'm not developing something new as far as a physical good. So that's kind of where I came from.
What was it for you to actually get the business started and registered with the state of Indiana?
That was actually very easy for me, as my mom's a lawyer and her secretary is actually the county notary, so it was a simple matter of getting the form signed. Going back to what I said earlier, in that I am a sole proprietorship, so since there's no risk really to me, no one's going to come after me, so I don't have to do as much registration as someone as if they wanted to establish an LLC, S corp, or some other form of corporate structure in order to protect themselves. So as far as establishing my business, it wasn't so much getting legal protection as it was establishing skills so that way I could serve the needs of the client.
What would you do differently?
Starting again, I would likely try to not put so much on my shoulders and probably start hiring sooner, because I've learned that recently that my real skill isn't actually in the making of the websites as much. I can do that and I'm pretty good at it, but my real skill is actually selling to the client, and that's more what I focus on now that I have a set of employees that I delegate a lot of the tasks to as far as design. I'm still overseeing them, making sure the design direction's where I want to go and where I think it best meets the needs of the client. But I recognize that, I feel like I've hit a ceiling as far as my design capabilities, but as far as talking to clients and making sure that their business is getting the right direction online and saving them the most money, that's where I see my real asset is. So as far as changing what I would have done to start, just hiring more sooner.
So what's your business strategy to get more clients?
To be honest, I really haven't had to do much to get clients. Little in the form of marketing or anything. I advise a lot of companies on marketing, but I don't do much myself, even online. I don't actually even have a centralized website for the company. I have one for myself, but for the company I don't, just because I have enough clients to where I don't actually have the time to make my own website. I have it actually all drawn up, I just haven't put in the code yet. But anyways, yeah, so as far as attracting clients, it's all been word of mouth. I just go from one project to the next, and it's amazing where that can actually take you, because I feel like I am jumping from state to state. Whenever you start a business, you just have to tell people about it, and it's amazing how big your network is. When you look at, how many friends do you have on Facebook today, and where are they all living in different states? That took me as far as Alabama, that I was taking offers from there. Alabama, Pennsylvania, Dubai, London. You can literally go anywhere, all around. Yeah. Just by exploiting your own personal network. Not exploiting, that's not the right word, but I guess utilizing it. That's what all these social network marketers are doing, and it can apply to really any business.
Previously you mentioned about softwares.
Yes.
What kind of softwares do you use?
I wouldn't say I like to rely on the software, but as far as the design side, I use a lot of the industry standard Adobe products, because they basically have a monopoly on the whole thing. But so for vector art, I use Illustrator. A lot of the layouts I have been using Photoshop, but I'm starting to switch to Fireworks just because I feel like they are more suited towards web. And then as far as coding stuff up, I use Dreamweaver because I got a lot of good code checking features, and then I also have started using another code editor called Aptana. So yeah, that's kind of my business strategy. So it just goes from, well, actually, how I do a lot of my billing now is it's all broken down into separate payments, so a client can break the contract at any point if they want to. So what I do is they first start off with a project mock-up made in Adobe Photoshop, and then you send that to the client. As long as they're happy with the general set of the design, you get paid at that point. And then after that, they kind of give you feedback on what new features and stuff they would like in the design, what they don't like about the look and feel. You change that up, and you pass that stage. Then you're now moving into actually coding the site, adding functionality. So you code that all up. As long as it's generally what they want, they pay you again. And then finally you change that around and just make sure the site actually functions exactly how they want to, and that's where your final payment comes in. So that's kind of my process. As far as designing it initially, I really like to just have like a 20-minute kind of interview, kind of like this, on the phone with a client, because most of my clients are actually out of state, so it's hard to I read a lot about how to market on the web. And I mean, we all are users of the web, and we can tell what we like, what we don't like, and that kind of feeds into how I design and make sure that companies are getting the most conversions possible, or whatever their goal is by having a website.
Have you ever used templates for the website? Or
No.
Stuff from zero?
Yes, always from zero. That's why people hire web designers. If you want a template, you can go hire a guy for $800, college student, if you want. That seems like it's the typical thing these days. But for my companies, I make sure that it's a customized solution that guides their customers exactly where they want them to be. I mean, that's what a lot of web designers, like the more, I guess, professional ones, call themselves user experience, user interface designers now, because we are the ones building things from scratch to fit a company's needs, rather than this blanket solution that doesn't necessarily get people where they want to go, and it just looks way too generic in my opinion. It doesn't really give off a brand identity on that.
So Nick, what is the biggest challenges for your company?
The biggest challenge in kind of starting my company was, I guess, getting baseline skills in order to deal with the clients. And also, I mean, the perceived biggest challenge, though, I would say, for people outside, and I'm going to discourage this, is that as a high school student or even as a college student or someone that doesn't have a degree in whatever the business is convincing companies that they will buy your products. And honestly, it's just about talking to them and showing them that you have the knowledge to do what you want to do. It's not as much about having a college degree anymore as it is just showing that you can do what you say you can do. So that's really what it's all about.